and welcome to the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Tuesday, August 31st, and this is episode 300. I mean, like a together human being would like have something fancy to do, but not. But I did look it up, and in March, it'll be 10 years. It'll be like our 10-year anniversary, y'all. So my phone is on because the dogs are at the groomer. And in fact, they should have already been ready, but they were just like taking forever. And I was like, you know what? I'll just start the podcast and then somebody will call, because that's how things work, right? But anyway, so maybe we should think of something clever to do for the... Can you believe I've been doing this for 10 years? How did that happen, y'all? Like, some of you have been with me from, like, near the beginning, maybe even the beginning. Right. Fancy. But whether you've been with me from then or, like, just hearing again or maybe just recently, thanks. Like, legit, thank you so much. I'm so appreciative that you want to come hang out a couple of times a month and listen to me yammer on. So appreciative. How's your whole face is? You're so fancy. So it's super rainy, so thank you for coming out in the rain. The garden looks pitiful because I did just get frustrated. I've never done this before. We have a neighbor across the alley who has a garden every year, and around about this time every year he cuts his tomato plants off at the root, or I'm assuming, and then hangs them upside down over his fence, or sometimes he just like leaves them in the alley. And so at first I was really like, what is this dude doing? Like, does he have is he like, you know, burning his tomato plants and have it, like, is he upset with the tomato plants? Then I found out that that's one of the things you can do to like to make the fruits ripen after you cut the plant. I don't know if that's really real. They don't ever look like they get riper, but I'm not here to judge. But this is the first year I've done it, except I didn't like go to the bother of like hanging them upside down because I don't really care. I just want them to die. So bad. I mean, I didn't really want them to die, but I think I'm actually going to get a fall garden in this year. Not off to a great start. I think I cooked all my, well, I don't think. I know I cooked all of my seeds. So embarrassing. But I had every intention. I cut my potato plants off to let my potatoes kind of like cure up in the ground. I cut my corn. Y'all. Do you want to see this insane popcorn bounty? Are you prepared? Are you prepared? I don't know if you can handle it. I might have to really get my muscles out because I did plant 32 popcorn corn plants this year. And it's astounding because I got, are you ready? This much popcorn. Are you kidding me? Sweet corn and did pretty good. My corn plants looked beautiful, but I don't know if it was just my neglect, because neglectful this year. I don't know if it was just my neglect. At one point I did, okay, one point I went out and there were like these pinchery looking like bugs on them, and I was just like, you know, usually I'm all about investigating what the creature is and how to take care of it, and I was just like, you know, I'm done. I don't care. Just eat. It's like these black, I'm sure there's some sort of beetle or something with like these giant pit, and I was just like, I was like the good person in the horror movie that they don't make the movie about, who just like hears the chopping in their upstairs bedroom and is like, peace out, I'm done. That was who I was. And then also we got at one point I was out there, I don't remember why I was out there, probably picking tomatoes, and I was like, what is that on my... Did I have a plant? Did I take a picture of it? I knew I take a picture of it. Did I keep a picture of it? I was like, what is that? My corn stalk, like at this point it was already July, and they were like super tall, probably full height, if not full height, close to it. So they were super tall, and I was like, what is that on my corn plant? It like had a big knot on it, and again, it was a moment of like, is this the beginning of the horror movie? Like, are like strange alien bugs gonna pop out of this bulbous thing, this like swelling on my corn plant, and then eat my brain, and then they're gonna make me go in my house and kill my whole family, and then like we will be ground zero for the alien corn bug attack. And it's Indiana. Those aliens are smart. There's corn everywhere for them. But I saved you all and did not touch it. But later I did take a picture of it. Okay, because it looked almost like there was a giant worm thing on my plant. Like, so this is what it looked like. Okay, and I was all like, oh yeah, that's definitely the alien sac. Right. So that's definitely the alien sac. And then a few days later, it exploded, and this is what happened. On camera, let me show my corn fungus to people. Okay, so I think it might have been corn smut, because I want to say corn smut a lot. And in fact, this episode should clearly be called corn smut, because... So do you know what corn smut is? It's like a fungus. I think it's a fungus, right? Yeah, it's a fungus. I'm not going to try the Spanish name, but it's like acute. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. But you can eat it. It's, in fact, I've had tacos made from it, and I didn't find it to be particularly... I mean, you think something called corn smut would be like really intense tasting. Like, I'm thinking like very mushroomy tasting. You know what I mean? I found it to be very chill. It was a very chill flavor. But anyway, so you can definitely, but I always saw the corn smut when it was like small. It kind of looks like pozole. Like, it looks like these white, like little, like kind of looks like pozole. It looks like big fat kind of bulb, like whatever. But apparently you can get corn smut in other, and I thought it only grew like on the ear, but apparently it can just grow anywhere. And maybe as it like matures, it turns into this weird brown thing. Do you know? Surprisingly, I could find very little about it. You know? Like, maybe I just wasn't using the like exact Boolean search term or whatever, but like I couldn't get into the corn smut arena. And then I just got scared because I kept typing smut so much that I was like, I think maybe I'm going to get on a list. And then, I mean, I'm already on the list for like so many other things that I was just like, ugh. And again, this year I'm just not going to be in the horror movie. So, I mean, the alien might have taken over. And this actually might be a podcast on which I am speaking from a corn smut alien's voice. But it feels like me. So, you know, just maybe write in if it's not me. I mean, I'm the one in charge of editing the comments, so I'll probably just delete you. Oh, it's a conundrum, y'all. It's a conundrum. But anyway. So there was this like whole course. My child and I were out there just like peering at it, like, not gonna lie to you, poking it with sticks. Actually, the child's one the teenager was one who would poke it with a stick, and I was like, I'm gonna stand over here while you poke it with a stick. All I could think of was like spiders flying out of it for some reason. I don't even watch horror movies because obviously I can't even handle a plant in my yard without being terrified. So clearly I'm not allowed to watch horror movies. But yeah. So anyway, so that was all to say that from my 4x8 bed, and it's not anything to do with me planting corn. And when I say my neighbor, he is actually like kitty corner across the alleyway from me, because there's this whole thing where if you plant corn, you have to be really careful about who plants corn near you. And it's possible that it got messed up from him, because the other time I planted corn, it was sweet corn. So it's totally possible that it could have been a pollination issue. But yeah. But I don't think so, because if it was a pollination issue, I would just get like weird corn, right? Yeah. So I don't think that was the issue. I think it literally was just my neglect and those pincher bugs and, of course, the corn aliens. But I do have this much corn, and I am excited to have my one pot of popcorn, which I am eating all by myself, very Little Red Hen style, because nobody helped me. So I am going to eat that popcorn and then I'm going to love it. It's going to be the best popcorn ever. Which would be terrible. I'll totally let you know. Speaking of letting you know things, oh my gosh. Patrons of the podcast. So if you're a patron on Patreon specifically, I put out, I have no beef with Instagram, okay? Like, Instagram doesn't really owe me, it kind of owes me some things because I did create a lot of content in it that, I don't value my content that highly, but, I mean, we all did keep it going, right? Like, just saying. But so, I mean, it's not like I feel like Instagram really owes me anything. It was really great for my business while it was happening, and I really enjoyed seeing stuff from other people. But, like, there's lots of issues now where it's like being whack-a-doodle. So I decided, like, I'll start sharing on Patreon. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, we could, like, start a Discord server and have our own little fat squirrel bootleg photo share. So that's what's going on. So if you're a patron of the podcast, or if you're a patron of the podcast but you're donating on like Ko-Fi or just via PayPal directly, just let me know if you want the Discord linky-doo. So that's going on. And then also via Patreon, I kind of asked like what y'all would like as like a special bonus for next month for September. And it seemed like the overwhelming consensus that you would like knit-alongs. Not knit-alongs. Knit nights, virtual knit nights. So keep your eye out on that on the Patreon page. I'm definitely going to be doing at least, I think I'll do 2 in September and just kind of see how it goes. I will do them. My plan is to do one on like a Saturday, like evening-ish. I'm Eastern time. And then to do one on like a Sunday early afternoon so that hopefully between those 2 times we can kind of get people who are international as well as people in our time zones here in the US. So, and if you can't make it, that's cool. We'll probably do one again. I'm just saying, I just want to commit to 2 because I don't know how it's going to work. I'm a little bit afraid. I'm afraid it's going to be like just me, with like my cocktail weenie on a napkin, just like, hey, way out there. So we'll see how it goes. But so if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. We're going to be doing a couple of those in September. And my thought is that like I'll be there to be like the host and I will totally bring you snacks. But like I'm just excited to hear from all y'all. Okay, so that's what's going on in Patreon. If you're interested in becoming a patron of the podcast, oh my gosh, I would love it so much. You can find out more information at patreon.com/thefatsquirrel. That's squirrel. Sorry, I shouldn't be talking fancy when I'm talking about business. But yes, that's happening. And then there will be a shop update. I'm going to do it in the odds of September. Does that sound good to you? I think I'm going to do that this time. So September 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern, I'll have a shop update, and I'll show you all of that at the end of the podcast. Very cute, sitting right here. I'm just making little heart eyes out of it. There's mushrooms, there's monarchs, there's, I think, barn owls. There's woodland creatures, there's harvest moon fabric. I mean, it's just fall snuggle-tastic. There's pumpkin pie, there's apple cider. There's just all sorts of goodness. Can you hear these corn husks? I hope it's not terribly loud, but now that I'm actually removing these popcorn kernels, it is highly satisfying. I had no idea that this is what I wanted to do with my day, and then here we are. I was just saving it to do it because I was like, I want to show you my bounteous harvest. But now that I'm doing it, I am definitely in love with it. Find popcorn to, I don't even know what you call this. It's not to husk. What do we call removing the kernels? It's not, what do you do when it's wheat? Thrush is not what it is. Thrush is unpleasant. Harrowing? Am I harrowing? I feel like that involves wind. Whatever. This is very pleasant. I'm enjoying it. Okay, I should probably stop. So yeah, episode 300. So yeah, what's up? This episode, I was going to talk about some things. What was I talking about? Oh my gosh. See what else? March 2012, first episode. What I'm reading, highlights? I don't know. Should we talk about that? See, I'm so nervous about my dogs. I don't know why I think that I have to be like on it as soon as they tell me the dogs are ready, but I do. I feel like I need to just jet out the house. But like, okay, so what am I reading? Okay, so the world, we thought 2020 was a hot mess. Flippin' 2021, y'all. So I am deep into Escape. I'm deep into, I don't understand why I'm deep into rom-coms, like modern romances, which are like romances, but just often with like, I think they just generally are a little bit more humorous to me. They're a little lighter. There's definitely not a heaving bosom thing. Because, like, I really didn't even understand what modern romance was. And I still don't, obviously. But, like, I've always, like, turned my nose up at romances. Not for, like, that sounds like I'm being snotty about it. And I guess I am. But I've always just, like, I've never enjoyed romances. Like, what is that Discovery of Witches book that everybody loves? I have tried to read that book so many times, and I finally realized it. This is probably the third time I've tried to listen to it, and I realized, like, oh, I hate this book because it's a romance. Like, at its heart, it's a romance, and I just don't usually enjoy that genre. It's not clumped into that genre, but you know what I mean? Like, the, like, whole paranormal aspect of it does not offset the actual like traditional romantic arc of it for me. And you could tell me I'm completely wrong and I will completely understand that, because again, I can't actually finish this book because I just don't like it. But I do enjoy the modern romances. They usually have some more fun. They're just more fun, I think. I don't know how to, even when they're sad, they're not as dramatic. Is that what I want to say? Whatever, I don't know. But I'm enjoying them lately. And I'll just tell you what I've been reading lately that I have enjoyed. There's been a couple I've read that I listen. I don't read with my eyeballs. I listen with my ears. There's been a couple I've read that I'm just like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Because I also listen to a lot of things when I'm working. So I enjoy them for just, chitter chatter. But I did listen to Playing the Palace, which is by Paul Rudnick, which is kind of it's a more mature version of, and I mean mature like just age-wise, not actual like maturity. It's an older version. The characters are older. Of, was it Red, White, and Royal Blue? Is that what that was? That was like a kind of like a YA kind of romance. It definitely has that. You harken back to that because the characters are royalty of the English gist of the UK and an American, and so it has that. But it's definitely, I don't think it's as well written. The character development is not as good, but I did enjoy the humor. Okay, so I just enjoyed the humor and the narrator. I don't think I would have enjoyed it if I would have read it with my eyeballs. But the narrator is highly enjoyable. I feel like, I should have looked that up. I feel like he narrated another book that I really like. And I should maybe put that in show notes because now I don't remember what it's called to check. But whatever, he's highly enjoyable. And then what else? So I enjoyed that. I'm currently reading with my eyeballs Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I'm enjoying that one a lot. It's a workplace-ish. It's an unconventional workplace romance. It's like a friend. It's not really enemies, but I try to figure out like what trope it is. But it's very enjoyable. I'm enjoying that one. I tried to start reading. I didn't know Ruth Goodman has a new book, The Domestic Revolution. Ruth Goodman is the English chica. The English. What do we call that? It's like archaeology of doing stuff, but it's not really archaeology. It's not like she's a reenactor. It's like she's an academic reenactor. That's what I'm calling it right now. She's like the academic reenactor. Did like Tudor Monastery Farm and like that whole, like, by the way, if you've not watched those, a bunch of them are on Amazon Prime. Amazon. But it does have like Tudor Monastery Farm, and it has, I think it has Victorian Farm. I don't know if I saw Wartime Farm, but wait, it's got a lot of them. It probably has all of them. Because Tudor Monastery Farm was on, they were all on YouTube forever in the US, but Tudor Monastery Farm's sound was so messed up that it was actually painful to watch, and so that's the one I never got to finish. Green Valley, something about Green Valley. All of them are so good. They're definitely TV that I would rewatch, even though I know everything that happens. So there's that. What else am I reading? Oh, a friend recommended the Vampire Knitting Club. Well, not necessarily recommended, but was like, oh my gosh, look at this one. And I was like, well, that's on my list now. And that's by Nancy Warren. I was trying to figure out, though, the one I just finished that was very enjoyable. I took it off my list already because I returned it. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Excellent. Again, modern romance, friends, what's going to happen. I don't know, but I highly enjoyed it. Okay. I finally finished Bootstrapper From Broke to Badass on a northern Michigan farm. I've started this book before and was like, this is too whiny. So this time I actually did go through it. And bless you. The author is Mardi Jolink. I have not written any books. I have written 0 books. So I feel like I need to mention that every time I give a review to something. I have not written a book. You have. Good on ya. But not my favorite. Oh, and then Mundhunter, because this dovetails right into the other thing I've been listening to and reading. It's just modern romance and true crime. Why is that? It's like one is escapism and one is like you stub your toe, and in order to deal with it, you hit your hand against something so that hurts more. It's that, I think. Like, oh, everything is crazy and I don't know how to live a life that doesn't harm other people through my consumption, and everything is bonkers. Let's read about serial killers. What is wrong with me? I know some of you were totally in the same boat. But anyway, if you watched I think it was a Netflix series called Mundhunter. It is the I'm gonna do it again. It's the book that was based on true life, and then that show is based off of this book, I believe. But I also just watched that show. You know, I'm sure clearly he's an excellent mind hunter, but I do not feel like he's an excellent author. And it was like, at first I was like, am I not liking this because he's just talking like really bluntly about horrific things? Because he definitely has a very like flat affect. And I was like, is that why I'm like kind of like bumping up against this guy? And I kept thinking, is that what it is? And it's definitely not that, because I have since then listened to some other things that had a very similar affect, and it has not bothered me. So it is definitely, his writing style is very disorganized to my brain. Like, I don't understand like how he organized his material. And maybe that's just me. Like maybe because I listened to it and didn't read it in hard copy. Sometimes that happens for me, for the way my brain works. But I had trouble with how he organized the book. And it was just, it felt like just a retelling of facts with not a lot of like meat in it in terms of like situational kind of information, maybe? I don't know, but I did not enjoy it. The show is gorgeous. If nothing else, it is beautiful to look at. It's horrifying. Sorry. It's about serial killers. But it is beautiful to look at, and I found it to be pretty engaging. And the book, I did not feel like that at all. I listened to the whole thing because I was just like, actually, I may have like stopped at the last chapter. Like, that tells you something. I was just like, I'm done with you. Like, I didn't enjoy him as like a personality, like as a person necessarily. Like, maybe that had the had some effect on it. I don't know, but I did not enjoy it. Sorry. And then, so yeah, that's what I've been reading recently. I started listening to, like, what is it, 2017 was when they started? Morbid. And that has been nice to scratch the, like, escapism itch. It's also really... The other day they had an episode where they were talking about something that happened right after or during the Spanish flu. And they were talking about, like, oh yeah, it was so wild. They would just, like, not even let people into the groceries, because it's not like a grocery store like you think of it in the U.S. now, but they would just, like, hand them their things through the door, and, like, people were banned from congregating in large groups. And I was just like, and they were, like, kind of mind blowing, and I was just like, oh girls, just wait. Just wait, ladies. So that was interesting, but so I've enjoyed it. Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure everybody knows about that one. I just haven't listened to it because I've never been a true crime person. Apparently, things have escalated enough that I'm like, all right, this is now escapism in its own twisted way. Look, I got a whole... How cute is this? Look, I got my popcorn. Y'all, thanks for sitting with me while I do my popcorn. This is very homey of us. This is like even more intense than shell and beans or something. Well, I don't know. Shell and beans is pretty intense. But so yeah, I want to make for my... If you're new, this is literally how every episode goes. So yeah. Oh, wait. These are... Oh. Well, now that's interesting. This ear of corn, the kernels are smooth. But this ear, they had like... And this ear. They're like pointy. Like they have like a little sharp pointy bit. I wonder if that's... They're the exact same color. These are also rounded. Do you see him? Did I want to keep him just like to wear as a brooch? Yes. Yes. I mean, look at how cute that would be. Oh, maybe I should save him. Would my family run if I just wore a corn brooch? Probably not. They've seen worse. Oh. I just like looked out. So anyway, so I wanted to do a winter or, a fall garden. I've somehow never, like a couple of years I've like tried, but then the groundhog ate all my kale. Groundhog, I'm looking at you. I'm not actually looking at you, but I'm looking at your yard. The groundhog has been even more sassy lately. It's driving my little Gus dog. There's been a couple of times that he's been chowing down, the groundhog. He's been chowing down on the blackberries, and I've not realized it, and I've let Gus out, and I've almost thought I was going to have to, like, break up a groundhog. I don't know who's going to win. Probably the groundhog, because Gus is just all bark. Actually, I don't think Gus would actually attack it. He would just bark at it. But, yeah. It's like, I do not want to get involved with that. But luckily, he's pretty darn fast. So again, now I'm afraid. So I cooked my seeds. I was going to plant cabbage. And I found a bush bean that is a shelly bean. Right? So it's a bush bean that you do you can dry any bean and eat the beans out of it. But this one is specifically that. And so cabbage, and then that, kale, of course. And, some broccoli. And I've never grown... Have I ever grown a brassica? I don't think I have. So that was going to be exciting, but I cooked my seeds. So I'm going to try again, though. I'm going to try again. Although I really need to get it together. I may need to put them under the lamps in the basement and, like, pretend like we're in Alaska or something, and they're getting 24 hours of sunshine. I could do that. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on with the garden. In other news, I realized that my bike is about to have her 5-year anniversary, or she just did. I can't remember. But I just wanted to like step in and tell you that she's doing great. I got a 630 bicycle. I'm a 350-pound human being. It's really hard to find bicycles, or actually no bicycle that I found, I don't think, that wasn't like, that was in my budget. Because bicycles, yo, dude, bicycles are hella expensive. There are literally bicycles out there that cost more than my car. I'm not even kidding you. Like, and these aren't like handmade 1 in a million bicycles. I have a 2008 Toyota Sienna that I bought used. And there are bicycles out there that cost more than my car. So anyway, but there was no bicycle in my budget at the time that said it was rated to hold my weight. So I did go with the 630. It is a steel frame, and it has been an excellent bike for me. So I just want to check in and tell you that it's doing great. It's 3-speed. It has coaster brakes, and it has been the most lovely low maintenance bike ever. I don't ride it like every day. It's not like a commuting bicycle. It's just for leisure. And I just ride it on trails, so it's not like we're off-roading with the bike. But the reason I thought about it is because I was having this trouble with it the other day, where my gears were like slipping. Like I was like, well, first it was like second gear just disappeared. Like somehow my bike was only going to go in first gear or third gear. And I almost never use first gear. We live in Indiana. It's pretty flat. But I almost never use first gear. And suddenly second gear was gone. And I was like, well, dang it. And then I realized like, it has like an internal hub shift, like gear shifter. I don't understand. I actually tried to look it up. What's it called? Shimono? Is that something? Did I write it down? No, I didn't. But anyway, so I tried to look up, like, I remember that thing when I put the bike together. It had like a thing that you could like calibrate. And I was like, I bet I need to fix that or like adjust it. So I looked it up and I adjusted it and I was like, oh, hooray me. And then I took it for a ride and then it was so much worse. Like it was infinitely worse. In fact, then it was slipping out of gears. Like it would not even stay in third geared. You would be like really pushing, because third gear to move my body mass, it takes a good amount of strength. And so I would be like really like lay it into my pedal and then like it would just slip out and I would basically almost fall off my bike. And I was like, okay, obviously I did something wrong. So I came back, actually watched the video instead of just glancing at it, and realized what I had done wrong. And so then I was like, hey, wait, how long have I had this bike? 5 years, and I've never had to do anything to it. I've never had a flat. None of my spokes have broken, which again was a fear for me as a very heavy rider. Like they tell you lots of times that you're going to need to get solid state tires and you're going to need to make sure you have steel. I don't know if my spokes are steel or not. They were just like what came standard. But yeah, it has a steel frame, and it's just like a cruiser, so it's upright style. Highly recommend if you're a fatty, try it out. Maybe don't buy a bike just out of the blue, but try to rent one or something, or go to your bike store and see if they got one. Because I was like, for the longest time, thought I can't ride a bicycle because I think of people in that like leaning forward position, and I'm like, I have too much flesh. Like when I lean forward, I don't have enough room to move I'm not going to get a big range of motion, but in that upright position for my body style, it was fine. And I love it. So yay, bicycles. Hooray! What else? Oh, and then I started watching this YouTube series called Not Just Bikes, which is not part of my escapism. But it does kind of give me hope for the future. And I think he's Canadian. I believe that he's definitely North American. I believe he's Canadian. And he now lives in the Netherlands. And so it is about bikes, but it's also about urban planning and like structure of communities. And I would just say if you're interested in any of those things, they're very short episodes. And they're really interesting. Like, it kind of gives you more insight into like the everyday life of things. Like, I will be honest. Hi, I'm American and I am from the middle of America. And my life has been very car based my whole life. And like, whenever I watch like I love to watch International House Hunters. Guilty pleasure. Whenever I watch one of those shows and they show the refrigerator in the house, I'm like, how on earth? And I know it's because you don't go to the grocery store just once a week, typically. For example, in the Netherlands. But I've always been like, that sounds horrible because I don't want to go to the grocery store more than once a week. That's garbage. And so I've always been like, well, lots of things are dumb, but at least I don't have to go to the grocery store more than once a week. But I know, I'm a rube. I'm sorry. I'm not cultured. I am not worldly. I'm from America. And like, I'm more than happy to learn about other things. I just don't always know that I need to learn about them. Like, right? But he talked about it and it made it make so much more sense. He actually went on a grocery shopping trip, and because again, he rides his bike, he pops off at the store that's like right next, and he's like, there's a grocery store there, and there's one there, and there's one there. There were like 3 within a stone's throw of each other, and he's like, yeah, I just push my bike up to the bike rack. I lock my bike. That's 2. We got 2 done. Thanks. I go up to the bike. I go into the store. I get the few things I need, and the store he went even had like a scan as you go. So like you don't even have to wait in line for the cashier or anything. He's like, I just get what I need, and then you scan like whatever. He showed you how you scan the receipt to get out of the store or whatever. And he just gets back on his bike. I was like, oh, I could definitely do that. That sounds amazing. Because, like lots of time, like I'm lucky where I live now, but the place I lived before, I would literally, my grocery store was only 2 miles away, I want to say, from my house. But it would literally lots of times take me 20 minutes to get there. And that was like when I tried to go not during rush hour. Right? And then, of course, to get back. Because traffic was berserker. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds brilliant. Anyway, that's not just bikes. Sorry, that was a random tangent. But I've been finding it very interesting. It's been frustrating because I've been learning about some stuff that I'm like, why do we do that here? That's dumb. But it's also really helpful to be like, oh, but we could change that. And hopefully these youngins coming up will be able to work on that. But anyway, it's very interesting. Very interesting. And it makes me want to ride my bike everywhere, which I haven't done yet, but I need to get there. I'm still very afraid of driving in the traffic. Of riding my bike in traffic. I'm terrified. Anyway, so that's that. I'm so sorry. This corn is very, very enjoyable. I'm actually going to get 2 pots of popcorn. Oh my gosh, you can totally come over and we'll have our popcorn together. I'm going to let you have some. I know that I said I was going to red hen it because my family isn't doing anything to raise this corn, but you are not family, so you wouldn't even have a chance to help. I know you would have helped if you could, so I will share with you. But not these other jokers. We have I guess I should mention that. I don't know. I'm sure it's like a universal fairy. It's not a fairy tale. It's a story about a little red hen who sows wheat in her yard, and she goes in her garden and she goes to all the different animals in the area, like the fox and nobody wants to help her. Nobody wants to help plant it. Nobody wants to help water it. Nobody wants to help harvest it. Nobody wants to help grind the wheat into flour. But as soon as the little red hen has bread, they all want on board. Nobody's keto. They are all high carbonate. And she's like, no, you didn't help with all the other things. You can't have my delicious bread. And then she eats her delicious bread and is so content and happy. And everybody else is like, don't. So that's what that story is. You can tell it to your kid. Oh, don't even tell it to your kiddos. Just bring him back. You can rewind to the little red hen and I'll tell it to him. Anyway, so enjoying that. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's enough nonsense. Okay. I have like a little pile of corn. Here. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Because you're here, but you're not here. So I'm going to just... Here, this is how much corn I have so far. Here, I'll put my finger in here. I have weird nail polish on, FYI. But like... Look how much corn we just did. Right? Thanks for making it happen, y'all. Okay, so let's talk about wool stuff. I have spinning. Oh, I know I talked to you last time about the pockets for my ridiculous crochet vest. I'm still working on that. I'm not still working on that. I'm still working on that. But I'm going to totally do that for September. Because it's pre-fall, y'all. It's like pre-fall eve today. So today's October. Did I ever say that it was August 31st? I don't know. But like this morning, I got out the fall table quilt. Because September 1st, I didn't even make it to September 1st for the fall candle. I totally lit it the day before yesterday, on Sunday. I just couldn't, I had to have it. It was just too much. It was like 95 degrees. I was just like, not doing it. But so, yeah. So it's pre-fall. It's pre-fall eve. So I spun this. This is Dolce de Leche from BZB. So it's BEESYBEE. Which is a merino alpaca camel silk blend. And this is about 180 yards. This is a very, like, 180 yards usually. Then I didn't quite do 4 ounces because there was some left on the bobbin, and I'm just going to admit, didn't care. But this, like, usually if it was only 180 yards out of, let's just say, 80 grams, I'd be like, that's like almost, well, 180 yards is about a worsted out of 80 grams. So it's about a worsted, I would say. But anyway, it's a little, so I was just trying to say it's a little bit, even though it's light spun, because I spin everything almost woolen spun. It definitely has more weight to it than a normal fiber, like a typical fiber that I spin, like a Tarhi or something. But it is really lovely. It's super duper soft. And then it has just a little bit of sheen. I'll try to turn it through the window. So, oh, really, world? Really? That's right, camera. The popo's coming for you. Act right. So yeah, it's very lovely. I don't spin merino. Like, I've traditionally not enjoyed spinning it. But this, and then the Humbug is such a good word. The Humbug merino that I got from the same place, I've actually enjoyed quite a bit spinning. So maybe I just need to spin some more undyed merino. I know, but even this, because I thought I'm not going to like it so because it's going to be slippery because it has silk and alpaca and merino. I was like, ugh, but it was totally still enjoyable. I didn't try to spin it very fine, obviously, but it was still quite enjoyable. So yeah. Ding. So what else? Oh, so here's something that's also not knitting yet. I am working on a little stitchery. So this is from Cozy Blue. She has like a monthly subscription Stitch Club, but this is just a PDF that I purchased from one of her prior clubs. And I can't remember if I've showed you this before. I did start it a while back, but I had only done like the little purple bits. So I can't remember if I showed you that or not, but I've definitely worked much more on it this week. And so you can print the PDF on this stuff that's called Solvy or something like that. I'll put it in the show notes maybe. I have anything to write with. Maybe if I write it down. I'll put that in the show notes. But anyway, so you can print it on it directly from, I believe, Dot Matrix. I have a laser printer, but I think it works for either one. And then it's like sticky, and you can just stick it to your fabric, and then it dissolves when you underwater. So I just put it on some linen that has pre-washed. So it's that I washed, it didn't come pre-washed. So I just wanted to see what it would look like. It's been quite enjoyable. Okay. Okay. So again, those are from Cozy Blue. I will confess, I was a member of her monthly stitch club for 3 months, and I have not stitched one of those. And it's been like 4 years ago, maybe even more. I'm not sure. It's been obscenely long ago. Oh, bad person. Whatever. Okay, but now what else? Okay, so things you've already seen. Last time I showed you my Stay Soft shawl, and that is a pattern for fingering weight yarn for 3 colors by, I'm sorry, I can't remember. Oh, that's not the right thing. Dangity. If I ever forget your name, it's not you, it's me. By Vera Valimaki. You see, I've said this like 17 times, and I still, it's not in there. But I received this yarn from the beautiful folks at Espace Tricot because they are so super cute. It's their new yarn called Sunday Morning, and they have it available in both a 4-ply fingering weight and a DK weight, and it is highly enjoyable. It is 75% BFL and 25% Massam, and it's 432 yards to 100 grams. So you can see it's very light. It has a woolen spun texture to it. And these are my colors because my palette's gone bonko. My colors that I'm using are Simple, that's that one, and Wanderlust. So here's the part. So I pinned it up. So do you find that like this is one of those shawls that it's like a boomerang shape, and so the tail, like the cast on tail, gets super long, and so when you're flipping it back and forth, because the rows aren't very long, like look, I've already gotten through the one solid part and onto the stripes, and now I've just started the second solid part, and so the rows are not long at all, but this thing is long. And so I find that I get frustrated with it when I'm twisting it around. So lots of times, well, actually, I say that, but this is, I think, the first time I've actually done it. I just use like a big old, I guess, these aren't, whatever. These are like shawl pins, safety pins. And then I can just fold it up so that it's not such a big twisty thing when I'm trying to work on it. Okay, I haven't actually inserted the second solid section. I'm just ready to. I did 1 row in it. But here it is so far. This is a great yarn that is super lightweight, and yet I know it's going to be lovely and warm. That's the beautiful thing about woolen spun yarns, is they're not shiny like a merino. They are not as smooth as a merino, but they are, and I say merino because most worsted spun yarns in the US are merinos right now, but just in general. They're very enjoyable. They're very lightweight for the warmth is what I was trying to say. Goodness gracious. Or also if you're a big human being, it's nice to have a sweater that doesn't weigh 100 pounds. So that's another great use for woolen spun yarns versus worsted yarns. And I have a whole episode, a special bonus episode. I'm sure that if you search under like bonus woolen, the fat squirrel, you'll find it. Oh, I could link it. Look at me using the noggin. Woolen spun video. So if we're moving kind of into sweater weather in the northern hemisphere now, and if you're a big human, I recommend especially using the woolen spuns. Now, that is also a two-sided coin because I love woolen spun yarns, but for example, I want to knit a pink, what is that, brioche stitch, worsted weight yarn, woolen spun yarn, like cardigan, and I'm like, because there's just a yarn I really want to make it with, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so warm. I'm gonna have to use it as a coat or make a vest or something. So I mean, there is like two sides to that warmth situation, but they are a very lovely light woolen yarn and warm yarn for their weight. So I'm enjoying that. Again, it's a Stage Soft Shawl by Vera Valmaki. I'm also knitting, and I will have to look this one up because I definitely don't know who the knit author is. This is the Azor sweater, and it is by Orlan Suche. And it is a top-down yoke fingering weight sweater. The only color work is in the yoke. The sizes are up to 65.5 inch bust circonference. Yes, finished. That's a finished. And it's recommended with 5 to 8 inches of positive ease. So that would mean the top recommended bust size would be 60 inches. So here's mine so far. I'm not going to lie to you. I tried it on. Okay, I'll show you the picture. Oh, wait, it's not on here. Dang it. It's on my other thing. Oh, son of a gun. I tried it on because I finally got the ribbing done. I think this sweater sat for approximately 100 years after I got past the armpit. Because I think I got like an inch of the body and was just like, this could take forever. I've made fingering weight sweaters before, and I've even made them flat right to purl. For some reason, this one just, I don't know, I just had a block or something. But I'm not gonna lie, I tried it on. It's super cute. I tried it on with like my high-waisted pants. It's darling. So I started my sleeve, and I'm working on that. I did have trouble because the yarn is kind of dark. I was having trouble seeing my decreases. So then I started using stitch markers, and then I couldn't see the stitch markers because they're like those black wire ones. So then I moved to like the bright plastic stitch markers because my eyes. Now I did find that it wasn't totally my fault. In the living room where I do most of my knitting, especially in the evening, we have just like one overhead, I'm not even gonna lie to you, paper lantern light because we're 12. I don't know, our house doesn't have any overhead lighting in the living room. I guess that's very standard. But like, I don't have surfaces to put lamps on because I have yarn. Really the worst, y'all. The worst. But anyway, I kept being like, gosh, is it just getting so much darker so much earlier? I was having so much trouble seeing. And again, this was a nightmare trying to, I literally had to keep getting the flashlight out. There's a little flashlight in our side table. I was just like looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then I'd be like, okay, I got 2 more rows because it's 6 rows between. So it's not like you could easily remember like, oh, knit 6 rows. And so I kept thinking, gosh, and even doing my little stitching, I was like, man, I might have to go get more, I might have to get my eyes checked again. And my husband was like, you know, I think this light is getting dimmer. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. I love you so much today. He realized he switched the bulb out. It's like a 20 watt bulb difference. I'm old. That's what we remember bulbs as. But it's like the difference between like a 100 watt and a 75 watt bulb. It's neither of those, but it's like that difference. It's crazy. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. It's like a 60 to 75 watt difference, a 15 watt difference. But young people don't even know what that means. Oh my gosh, I'm so old. And my eyes are too. Oh my gosh, I have a finished object I forgot to tell you about. I finished my Montana shawl. So this is the Pearl Break by Stephen West. Oh my gosh. It's time for the Mystery Cal again. It's another 5 skeiner, y'all. If you're interested, I'm going to have many, many sweater bags in this update. Hint! That are very, even though I call them sweater bags, they work great for 5 skein shawls. Just saying. Lots of them are super cute. But did you see he's having his Mr. Callaghan? I think I still want to make that slip stitch one, that slip-a long. It's not called that. The mystery, I can't remember what it's called, but the one that was last year, I think I still want to make that. I was definitely like a point where I was like, I'm swearing off all 5 skein shawls. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start knitting shawls and then putting them up for sample sales. Because I really do enjoy knitting them. I just have too many. So is that something you're interested in? You don't have to tell me, I'm going to do it anyway. But I'll just put them up as like samples and sell them maybe. Or maybe I'll put them on eBay because you're going to be like, no, I will only give you $3 for that shawl. And I'll be like, you know, that's $3 I didn't have. That's half an ice cream cone from the fancy ice cream place. Oh my gosh. So now we have, okay, so I told you about my amazing ice cream store that I love, Square Scoop on Fountain Square. Something has happened in Indianapolis. We had like a craft beer explosion. I could care less. But now we're having an ice cream explosion. And I'm not even lying to you, in a like 2.5 mile radius of my house, we are about to have like 5 artisanal ice cream shops. Within 1.5 miles of my house, we're just gonna have 3. What is going on? And we have a gourmet popsicles place. Y'all, I don't even know what to do with myself. I better not develop a lactose intolerance out of nowhere, because I'm just not gonna, it's not gonna work. Well, thank goodness I'm not even a huge ice cream fan. If these were all cake shops or pie shops, you just had to put me in the ground. But here's my pearl break. It's a Stephen West design. It is much like the Daybreak, except it's all garter stitch. And this is my version with Farmer's Daughter, I think, and buffalo yarn from Montana. My gosh, right? It's so pretty. And I really am pleased with how the buffalo washed up, because I was really like, I was knitting and I was like, I'm not super into this. And I don't know that I would ever want like a large garment with it or anything, but it did definitely do something different than it was appearing to. And I think maybe the reason I wouldn't do a garment with it is because there are definitely something that was like a guard hair, I would guess. Because they're an animal you have to brush, right? Yeah, to brush the bison to get the fibers for spinning. And so there's definitely some, like, I think it would be, there's a little bit of prickliness to it. Just a little bit. Yeah, there's like a mohair-ish feel to it. Like old school, like Peace Fleece mohair feel, not like mohair silk feel. But it bloomed very nicely and did soften up quite a bit. So I'm pleased with it. It's very fun. Oh, and thank you so much to the dyer last time. I apologize. I don't recall who it was. Was it Spotted Circus? Who mentioned that the stellina actually does dye because it's like a nylon. Because I was talking about this yarn has like a 5% stellina, and I was like, it's so strange because you can't even see it. Now, in the sunlight, it does create like a bit of, sparkle is way too strong a word. Shimmer, maybe? Like black pearlescence. It's dark pearlescence. Because the stellina, because it's nylon, will also dye with the acid dyes that are used to dye the wool. And so she says that last time she won't dye darker yarns with stellina because it just kind of like negates it. And I can definitely see that because it is very, very subtle, and you can only see it really in daylight. But you know, whatever is kind of fun. I know it's there. I know the sparkle's there. So yeah, yay. And I made this exactly as it was written. No changes. All this way, yes. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, look, it's on my body and I'm not freaking out. Okay, we're also in air conditioning, but it's getting a tiny bit cooler. So that's a finished object. And then the other thing I have to show you is crocheted. I'm out of control. So I went through this like thing in the lessons we've spoken last that I really was like, I'm going to start English paper piecing project. I've never done English paper piecing. I've never had any desire to do English paper piecing. But I did have desire to do some hand stitching, like sewing stitching, not embroidery stitching. It's a totally different feel. Just trust me. And I was like, oh, I was really about to get sucked in, and I probably will get sucked in. But I was like, no, I don't need to start. Like, mostly because of like podcasting, like I do want to have things to show you. And I know you are so beautiful. You will come to visit, even if I'm like, I wound the skein of yarn. You'd be like, that's okay. Let's harrow some corn. And I'd be like, you're the best friend ever. And you'd be like, I know. So, but like it does have an effect on my crafting life. Not like an oppressive effect. It does have an influence. And I was like, I should not get pulled into something that is so time consuming for such a small. And I wasn't like, oh, I want an English paper piece, like a small thing to put on a bigger thing. Anyway, in my head, I was just like, I don't know if I should do that. I probably am going to end up doing it. But in the meantime, I was like, I've wanted to make this sweater. That Pom Pom had a sweater. Okay, it was Pom Pom issue 36, and the pattern is called Lucky Pieces. And it's this sweater. Oh, oops. And it is designed by In Yong Kim, Miela Workshop. And I believe that's the pronunciation. I apologize if it is not. I love the look of this. And I actually bought yarn for it before, like, when I pre-ordered the magazine, because I was like, definitely going to make that. 100%. I'm in. And I knew it was entrelac from looking at it. I've done entrelac before. No biggie. It's not my favorite, but I don't hate it. I was like, that's it. I'm making it. And then the book came and I looked at the pattern and I was like, it's like a 2-page. It's like very minimal. And I understand, like, it's a print edition. Like, there are constraints, right? And I was just like, and then I started like looking at project notes and like looking at, I don't want to make it anymore, but I want to have it. This is one situation where I actually want this thing, but I don't want to make it. So this combined with this was back in the back, simmering back here. I'd already had the yarn for it. And then I felt like I wanted to do this English paper piecing thing where I was like, you know what? Why don't I just make a bunch of small granny squares? Maybe I can get something that is somewhat like similar in feel, if not look. Okay, it's not in any way similar in look, but in my head it's similar in feel. I decided I was just going to do like the half square triangle granny squares and like put them together in like a quilted look. And I made several of them as an example and I just didn't love it. I loved it the way it looked in my head. I didn't love the way it looked in real life. So instead I am making this little granny square. And so it's got like a puff stitch and then like is it called like a bobble stitch? Whatever. It's got a puff stitch and then one where you like do like several crochets and then crochet them together. So what would be a bobble in knitting? So yeah, I have a bunch of these little guys and I'm gonna make, what did I figure out I had to make? Like 240 or something, more than that probably. I have to make a ridiculous amount of them. So the colors are all like this smoky lavender and versions of green that are mostly like scrummier, browner greens rather than bluer greens. So yeah, it's just a bunch of Knit Picks palette and I'm just going to go with it and see what happens. I decided what to do is I knit several of them just as samples. And then I decided what I would do is take one color and knit all of the middles. So knit all of these little tiny dudes. And then, so they're like, I make 12 middles and then I do one of each color around it. And then I do one of each color around that. And then the outside borders are all white. So I don't know, that's what I've been doing. But it's been very enjoyable. And I thought, oh, it's going to be so boring to do the white around. Not at all. Still enjoyable. So yeah, it's all these colors. Well, I guess I should turn so you can get them in the light. All these. I'm crazy. Like a fox. Oh my gosh, they still haven't called about my dogs. Oh, I guess it's only 1:30. Okay. But yeah, I was just so busy talking to y'all, I totally lost track of time. But yeah, so that's what I have so far. This is definitely a long-term project. It'll be like me for the next 6 years being like, oh, I knit some squares. Still not sewing them together. You'll be like, okay. Okay. But yeah, so that's all. Right. That's all. So next will be shameless self-promotion. These two. Yeah. Shop update September 15th. Oh, I'm sorry. If you don't want to stick around for shameless self-promotion, that's totally fine. I will talk to you next time. I will talk to you next time. That's not me being upset with you. That's me being upset with me and my running together of words. But if you want to stick around, let's stick around. So, almost all of them are sweater bags. I was actually going to do another grouping of bags in with these, but then I split them out, so my proportions are a little bit off. So, these are almost all sweater bags and Aran sweater bags. But, just to show you the different, that the one is not, I have these mushies in a sock bag. I've definitely used this fabric before for a big bag, but she since has put it on a smaller scale, and I was like, ugh. Right. I'm such a sucker. Such a sucker. So this will be on sock size. And then sweater bags. Are you ready? So it has a cotton ripstop bottom. And then, I mean, come on. How cute is this nonsense? So I have done other prints by her, but I've not done this fall one yet. If I have, please tell me. I've been doing this for a minute, y'all. I might have forgotten. But I don't think I've done this one yet. How cute. And then from Charlie Harper, I have, right, so this is the bark cloth, which is such a strange fabric. It feels like it would not be cotton, just the texture of it, but it is, and it is enjoyable. So I have Monarchs. Love me some Charlie Harper. And then I have, so this is a cotton linen canvas called Harvest Moon. And have I been playing Neil Young's Harvest Moon way too often? Yes. Well, not too often. Have I been playing it a lot? Yes. There is no such thing as too much Harvest Moon. I'm just saying. Whether it be Neil Young's version or the video game version. Just saying. So these have, the gold is like a metallic. But it's such a fun contrast with this, cotton linen that's very, it's not rustic, but it just has a more rustic texture. And then paired with the gold is very fun. So yeah, so I've got the smoky lavender and the dark green. These are on a batting. So they're interfaced. Even though they're the cotton linen, which has more body than like a regular quilter's cotton, it's still not quite sturdy enough for me in my brain, in my broken brain. It's definitely sturdy enough, but I would just like it to have a little bit more body for my larger bags. So it is still interfaced. And then I have this woodland print, which I'm just a total dork for. Right? Like, come on. Does this one have a porcupine? Oh, it does. Right there. Porcupine. Bam. Oh. It's got this happy bee. Got some birds. Got a fox. The fox on this one? Oh, the fox is secretly not on this one. But there's a lovely fox that's on this one. It's down here. But and as always, if you're like, I am a huge porcupine fan, just put that in the note if you make a purchase. And I will do my darndest to make sure you get a chipmunk or a porcupine or a snail on a mushroom or whatever you need. I'll do my darndest to get it to you. And then in the Aran sweater, so my big sweater size. So this, for example, okay. So this is my Aran sweater bag, and it has 9,000 skeins of Knit Picks palette in it. It has at least 20 skeins in there, and I'm not squishing it down, but it's still Like even if I kind of just gently push it down, it will close. So that is my Aran sweater size. That's also a big one. I don't have any smaller ones. But anyway, so it'll hold a bunch. The regular sweater size is great for a sweater in progress. It's great for, again, ginormous shawls. It's got quite a bit of room in it. This is my sweater that is for my size. And, excuse me, it doesn't have all of its sleeves done, but you can see it very easily fits in the sweater size bag. These will all have handles. I just haven't gotten to that part in the sewing. Sam. If you're interested in big fancy bags, I'm going to have some soon. Very soon. Okay. Also, so now, Aran sweaters are the big guys. This is another Charlie Harper bark cloth. Right. And so this fabric is a little bit softer than I would normally use for an Aran bag. But I didn't want to interface it because it does have such an unusual texture. I was afraid it would just be like kind of like counter to what it. So they just have a nice heavy lining canvas. So right. How much do you love him? Ooh, so enjoyable. And then we have this amazing woodland. What? With a giant big mushroom and the ginkgo. Is it going to rain ginkgo leaves for you? Of course it is. And then last but not least, oh, I love this floral. Right. How awesome would like a bathing suit with this be? Right. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to lie to you. Today, after I dropped off the dogs, I got coffee at the chain coffee place. Feel free to joke me. But there was like a cute fat lady sitting outside, and I had to wait for a while because there was a bit of an error. But she was sitting outside, and when I came outside, she was like, "Excuse me." I was like, "Yes," because I'm always happy to help my fat brethren. She was like, "Where did you get your top?" And I was like, "Oh, I made it, thanks." She was very cute, and I wanted to be like, "I'll make you one." What is wrong with me? I definitely need like a fat budget couture shop. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be? I'm just gonna have my like handmade crop top for fatties shop. I'll ride my bike to it every day. You're just gonna come in. I'm gonna measure you, and I'm just gonna make all the fatties crop tops. Also non-fatties, but you know, fatties get first picks. That's just because we don't have other options. Do you want to come to my fatty crop top stop? Fatty crop top stop. TM. That's my shop name. Fatty crop top stop. But anyways, wouldn't this be the cutest bathing suit ever? Oh, I would die. Maybe I should make. It's from Spoonflower. I could get it printed on activewear nylon or whatever. But anyway, so I love this one. This is like the best. I mean, I would not ever pick that color. Right? But doesn't it look fabulous? Artists are so awesome. So yeah, thanks for coming over today. That update will be September 15th. What's my shop's called? fatsquirrelfibers.com. 9 p.m. Eastern. There are going to be a lot of them. So if you forget, like, no worries, dude. But anyway, Ides of September. Be there. Should have done that for Halloween. Oh well. But anyway, the Ides of pre-fall. Be there for a bag. But if you forget, like, just totally stop by. There'll be things. And then I'm also going to do a run of library bags. So if you've been with me for a while, they're bags that have library cards printed on them. And I'll be doing a run of those. October 1st is my plan. So I'll be doing some of those if you're interested. October 1st. And then I might have a custom one coming up. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Is that weed eating driving you crazy? What are they doing? Thanks for coming over to visit. It was like so nice that you timed it perfectly for when my dogs were out and they just started doing loud lawn work next door. You're brilliant. You're the best. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll talk to you next time. Bye. really want googly eyes for this corn.